It's Nina Carlin here from Regal Cinemas, and I'm live at the IMAX Corporation headquarters here in Los Angeles, California. Now, Dunkirk comes to Regal Cinemas on July 21st, but you can catch it in IMAX at one of our 92 locations. Seeing Dunkirk in IMAX is an incredible opportunity because it's the world's most immersive format to see a movie. You gotta check it out. There must be one near you. Now, you might have noticed that we are at the David Keighley Theater. Guess what, guys? We are about to meet David Keighley, the IMAX man himself. He is the Chief Quality Officer here, and I can't wait to introduce him to you guys. Follow me.
Oh, God. Hi, Nina.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Welcome to my theater.
Thank you so much. Yes, we are in the David Keighley Theater
right.
with David Keighley himself. Amazing.
And Mr. Nolan dedicated it even before I was dead.
Oh my
That
God.
was really cool.
That's the best part.
That's the best part.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's an honor to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Nina.
Me too.
So how did you, we saw the trailer?
Yes.
And-
So we just saw a trailer for Dunkirk and a 7-minute prologue that was exclusively filmed in IMAX.
Correct.
Very exciting, and we're also excited to see it on July 21st, especially in the IMAX format.
That's right. We're very, very proud of our work on this movie. IMAX is always trying to raise the bar, and
Yeah.
I think we've done it again. This is probably our fifth film with Mr. Nolan. He really gets it. He loves using the gold standard IMAX camera.
He
And
calls it the gold standard.
He does,
Yeah.
and we're very excited to bring another real immersive experience to many people around the world. We have 92, I think, Regal theaters, of course, and
Yes.
and 6 of them will be in film, and we'll get into a bit more of that, and we'll show you some of the film and how we do it here at IMAX. But it's just really great that we're able to show this around the world. IMAX now has over 1,200 theaters in 75 countries.
Wow.
And it'll open in almost 100 Regal theaters
Amazing.
on 21st of July. That's where you got to be.
21st of July.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, I have to ask, how did you first get involved with IMAX?
Over 4 decades ago, my wife and I, who still works with IMAX, we run this chief quality office, but we built a post-production division. We're from Canada, and I'm going to show you a little bit of nostalgia a little bit later. But
Great.
I was in film school in Toronto in the early 70s, and went to this theater called Ontario Place, and saw this movie, North of Superior, and it really changed my life. IMAX is a format which we just said Mr. Nolan calls the gold standard. It still is, and those cameras developed 50 years ago are still pretty well the same camera he used to get this movie, and it's the highest standard. If you know anything about megapixels, people talk about 4 megapixels and 6 mega, and I got a 22 megapixel Nikon camera, whatever. Each frame of IMAX is 216 megapixels.
Wow.
So it was future-proof 50 years ago, and it's still the best way to shoot a movie today. Digital cameras are coming; they're really good, but Chris loves tell the story in our format in the big 1:4:3 aspect ratio.
Definitely. And how did you first meet director Christopher Nolan, and how did he first get so intrigued and starting to use the gold standard of IMAX film cameras?
Well, I think, as Chris tells it, and hopefully you'll get to meet him someday. He grew up in Chicago, and we had an IMAX Dome theater there, still do, and the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry, I believe is the correct term. And he cites The Dream is Alive. We did a lot of work with NASA, still do today. And Everest by McGilvery Freeman Films, and Titanic by Stephen Lowe. He cites seeing those as a kid and longing to, could I really maybe make a feature movie in this? And it was many years later. We tried to get Hollywood filmmakers involved with IMAX. One of our founders, Graham Ferguson, talked to Francis Ford Coppola in the mid-'70s and thought about maybe doing Apocalypse Now. It didn't happen. But then go ahead to, I think it's 2008, you'll have to help me, The Dark Knight. We did Batman Begins for Mr. Nolan in our IMAX DMR process. It was a 2.40 movie and CinemaScope. And then we started talking to him. He liked what we did, and we said, we did this at 4K, but maybe we could do this at 6K. So we did a 6-minute piece of it in 6K. He let us do that. He said, gee, that's really good. What else can we do? And so we started talking about using IMAX cameras, and he got intrigued with the idea of shooting an anamorphic 35 at 240 and then actually changing the aspect ratio in the movie. And that started with The Dark Knight and went on with Dark Knight Rises. And we worked with him on Interstellar, which is the change aspect ratio. Inception, which is a great movie, and the DMR process. And then Interstellar a few years ago, which is amazing. And now, of course, Dunkirk.
Coming out July 21st.
Exactly. And a great story, which, you know, it's a story, in my mind, about regular people being heroes and saving over 300,000 men in 1940.
It looks amazing. I am so excited to see it in one of the 92 IMAX locations that Regal Cinema offers.
That's right.
Yes. Well, I would love to see the process of how this was made.
Okay, we're going to take you on a tour, and hopefully Britt and the team doesn't fall down the stairs, but let's go.
Let's do it. If you guys are just tuning in, we're here with David Keighley, who is a Chief Quality Officer here at the IMAX Corporation headquarters in Los Angeles, California.
And then, of course, behind you is the big 143 screen of IMAX, and you see the logo up there. And you'll see screens like this in many Regal theaters. So let's go on the process. We're going to go down the hall. Can you kind of hear me still, I hope? And, we're going to go into a little secret place that not many people get to see.
Secret
place. There we go.
Okay.
We'll try to do this quickly so there's not a lot of dead air.
This is so cool.
So as we said, you know, IMAX is the gold standard, and the film format is 65 millimeter negative, 70 millimeter print, and it advances 15 perforations per frame. And I'm actually going to show you, and I'm going to give this to Nina. I don't know whether Brittany can see this. This just came off the presses today. Those are actually 3 frames from the movie. And then it says Dunkirk, and it says shot with IMAX film camera, special engagements, and 70 millimeter film. And that's actually the film frame, and that's 9 times bigger than 35 millimeter. And now I'm going to show you the actual original negative that this was made from.
That's
We're going to go into our vaults, and this is a very secure facility because we have unreleased material. So we have to have an access card here.
This is top secret?
Top secret.
You guys, you heard it here.
Okay. And it's nice and cold.
Yeah.
It's okay because I'm from Canada, so I kind of like the cold.
It's very cold in here.
That's right. And so Nina, right here is actually the original negative of Mr. Nolan's movie, Dunkirk. And its working title was called another name, Bodega Bay. We're very proud of working with Chris. And if we go, these are cans of actual 65 millimeter film. If Britt would just go over to this can right here, it says open splice. And what that means is that this can, there's been a shot taken out of it, put in the real movie.
Wow.
So Mr. Nolan shot about 800 cans of IMAX film, and we cut it into 800 rolls, which is probably a world record of the gold standard 65 millimeter. And then we took all these cans. I'm going to show you Nate cutting in a minute. But a little bit of background. You know, Nina asked me what my background gets started. Remember I told you about the first movie I saw was North of Superior in Toronto. But the very first IMAX movie was called Tiger Child. That's the actual original negative, shot in 1969 for the World's Fair in Osaka, Japan. And then that projector was moved back to Toronto, which is still one of IMAX's offices and where we make all our projectors. And we made North of Superior, and that's the movie that I saw. It changed Patricia and our lives. And it was, remember, 9 times bigger than anything anybody had ever seen.
Wow.
So that's the beginning of our history, and here's right up to date. Open July 21st, and then we're going to pan over here. It's kind of interesting. This is a little test we did with Stephen Lowe, a famous Canadian filmmaker, and that guy, James Cameron.
I think I know his
You think
name.
you know him?
Yeah.
And in July of 2000, Mr. Cameron bought his, I think they were F950 digital cameras, and he compared that work with the IMAX film frame. And from that point forward, Mr. Cameron said, I really like digital.
Yes.
And you know, that shows how he makes his movies. But Mr. Nolan likes film, and here's the other end of the spectrum.
Yes.
A man who still wants film in his life every day, and in capture and in release. And Mr. Cameron, we did actually make film prints for Avatar, one of our most successful movies.
Definitely.
But he likes to capture in digital, and those digital cameras are getting better and better every day.
Incredible. So the two masters at work, we have the film over here and the digital.
That's right. And of course, you know, at the Regal theaters, there are going to be 6 theaters that are going to show Mr. Nolan's movie Dunkirk in film, and the rest are going to show it in digital. And now we're going to show you a little bit background about the digital DCPs and how we do that. So follow me.
Awesome. Thank you.
How's our conductivity? Good?
Yes.
The internet is working?
We have another secret room that we are entering.
Secret room.
Very secret.
So Brittany's going to follow us and Nina here. And so here we go. I told you how big, you know, IMAX film is, but
yes.
So this is actually a print of Dunkirk. It goes in 2 cases. There's 31 reels cut together here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going, let's see, where is this going? This is going to, I don't know, I think it's going to a theater in Canada. But anyway,
wow.
And then, of course, so this will go, these 2 cases will go times 6 to the 6 IMAX film Regal theaters. So the other theaters will get what's called a DCP, the Digital Cinema Package. And that's what goes to theaters. These are all made here, right in IMAX, for all our theaters in 75 countries.
So note the size difference?
Yes,
a
and
little
the weight
bit of
difference.
These two, yeah?
This weighs a couple of pounds. This probably weighs about 400 pounds.
Wow.
A different way of looking at things, but this is an art, for Mr. Nolan, this is an art form that he wants to keep alive, and Kodak, and we're very supportive of that. And this is the DCP, how most people see most films. But both are very cool ways to do it. They're just different, and some people like one thing, some people like the other thing. But this is what IMAX supports and film.
So
Let's go, and as I said, we are in 75 countries, so we have to service all those places with regular different language versions, dubs and subs. And you can see here, our staff will just whip around here. And here's, remember I told you that the reels of Dunkirk?
Yes.
And there they are, print number 31, reel 30. Remember I said there were 31 reels?
Yes.
And they're going to, sometimes they go built in those steel cases, and sometimes they go in these boxes right here behind you.
wow.
Okay.
So we're in the room where it all happens.
We're on the room where it all happens.
Incredible.
And Ernie's trying to get Ernie always wanted to be on camera. So he's
Whoa, you guys are gonna want to check this out.
So this is cool. This is where we do our duplication. And we'll look at some more DCPs over here.
Excellent, more DCPs.
And then here's the digital cinema package. And one of the things, you know, everybody looks at everything digitally and it happens instantly. But give you an example, a 2.5-hour movie, if you want to make it, it takes you 2.5 hours to make it. And then, oh, I want to check it. So you have to ingest it into the projector. That takes 2.5 hours. And then if you want to look at it, it takes 2.5 hours. So what you thought was a 2.5-hour job is a 7.5-hour job. Of course, we have to do that. If we're in 75 countries, we don't necessarily do 75 languages, but we can do 30 or 40 languages. So there's a lot of work to get a movie out. And when we do a movie, you know, a couple of movies a month, this is a happening place.
Wow.
And so these DCPs are special. Every IMAX theater, every Regal theater gets an IMAX DCP, which are a bit different. They have our special DMR process that sharpens and degrains the movie. The other thing that's very important is IMAX is 60% brighter than the regular DCI standard,
wow.
which is 14-foot lambert. So it's
60%.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons you really like IMAX, because it's nice and bright in 2D and 3D.
Yeah.
Dunkirk's a 2D movie, which is my favorite, and you'll see it in all the theaters, big and bright, just like Nina and I saw it a few moments ago. So now let's move a little bit over here.
Perfect.
And we'll continue the tour about how we made this movie.
Wonderful. So seeing it in IMAX, it's better image quality, better color, more bright. It's just superior.
And the sound, I think when Nina heard the sound,
yes.
You could actually feel the Spitfires, and those are 1,500 horsepower Merlin engines, 3 of them really being very dramatic. One of our sound people say, well, but David, it sounds a little bit distorted. Well, Mr. Nolan's very literal.
Yeah.
And you know, if you were standing beside 3 1,500 horsepower Merlin engines, it would kind of distort your ears a little bit too. So
absolutely.
it's very breathtaking.
Wow.
So let's go and look at one of the world's only optical printers that's still functioning.
So cool.
I'm going to go in here.
Okay. We're getting exclusive access right now at IMAX.
I got to turn the lights on. Okay, this is a very cool thing. Remember I showed you the negatives in those cans, and IMAX actually is unique. It runs horizontally, and so we put one of those rolls of films that I showed you in the vault. It takes 3 minutes to shoot. And so therefore every load in an IMAX camera. Some filmmakers say, oh, it's really hard to shoot in IMAX. Chris doesn't think so. He makes it work. So the negative came back from France because this movie was shot on location on the beaches of Dunkirk about 76 years to the day of when the actual evacuation happened. And so Mr. Nolan shot there. The negative would come back here, was processed at Photochem, then at a laboratory here in Los Angeles. Came here, we put the negative here, the original negative, and we made what's called a 35 millimeter print down. And then we looked at those every day. We were running almost 24 hours a day last summer. And then we look at it and report to Mr. Nolan's crew that everything was okay. And then this 35 millimeter print down was digitized, put in their Avid so that they could do the editorial cut. Then they gave us that print down back, cut properly, and then you saw in those cans open splice. Then we take parts out, and then we have to cut it together. And the next room will show you where we negative cut.
Incredible. So this is the world's only optical printer?
Well, not the only one,
not
but
the only.
There's very few left in the world.
Very few. Okay. Amazing.
Okay, and now we're going to go. So we made the print down. The print down was sent back to us, all the pieces cut together, and this is negative cutting. This is actually where we cut the negative together.
Wow.
And then here these are actually some frames from Interstellar. Once again, that shows you the size of the IMAX frame, which is very, very big. And somebody say, oh, well, if I don't just see it in IMAX, then I don't get the quality. There's a thing called oversampling. And so therefore everything from this movie, because it was shot with a gold standard IMAX camera, it improves the quality of everything. And of course, obviously we want you to go see the movie, but even if eventually, maybe in 6 months, there'll be a Blu-ray of it, and you'll see the Blu-ray will change in aspect ratio from 220 to 178 in your television. You'll actually see the pop in quality because it was shot with IMAX cameras.
Wow. And most movies where the aspect ratio that we see it in is called CinemaScope, right?
Yes, I would say 70% of IMAX, movies you see in the theaters are CinemaScope, but that's an aspect ratio of 2:4:0 to 1. That's the projected aperture. This movie, because it was shot in 5 curve 65 70 millimeter, is actually a native aspect ratio of 2:20 in some parts of it, and the IMAX parts are 1:43. So it changes between those. But the majority of the movie was shot with IMAX cameras.
Amazing.
It was 1:43. Now come down here. So we cut the movie, we put all the little pieces together, and we have to splice it. So that little black machine over there, believe it or not, the little sign says it's made at MGM Foundry over here in Culver City in 1955 for Oklahoma. And we actually use that. Herman splices the pieces together, and that original negative goes to the lab. Remember, 31 reels, and we made prints of the movie. We actually, on this movie, Dunkirk, we actually made every print from the original negative. So it's super, super duper quality.
Wow.
Okay, so that's negative splicing.
Okay.
So, and everybody said, well then how do you, if it's all film, and it was, this movie is 100% photochemical process, so how do you get the digital versions of the movie? Well, it happens right in here, and there's a scanner there, so Britt kind of look through the window there, and you can see a scanner. So what happens is we make an interpositive, a 65 millimeter IMAX interpositive, 31 reels, and it took 31 days, 24 hours to scan the movie into the digital domain, and then that allows us to make the DCPs that you've seen to IMAX standard, which, as I said, is 60% brighter than the standard. And it takes 12 seconds a frame. You can see a little thing jockeying back and forth. Can you get it? Probably too far away. Now, as I said, the movie is basically all practical. Mr. Nolan loves to shoot things practically. Very, very few visual effects. But if there is a visual effect, if a guy's blown up, and you can see, usually it's a real guy, and there's a wire that has to be removed. So before we make the final interpositive, we take the daily negative, and they tell us, oh, we want those wires removed. We take it in here, and we scan it at 8K, and then it goes to a place called Double Negative in London. They remove the wires, and they send that data back to us, and then we go in this room here. And this is the world's largest array. You could just stand right there, Nina. And this is the world's largest array of CRT cameras, and I'll just so we get a little bit of light here.
Yeah.
So this is IMAX film, the camera. This is a CRT cathode ray tube, a red, green, and blue filter, and it takes about a minute per frame. So those visual effects, and there's very few in this movie, removing wires and things like that, or maybe telephone poles or something. Then we record that piece out on this negative here, and then that gets cut in to the film. Okay. So that's kind of the whole story of, a little bit of the background of this movie that you're going to see in Regal Theaters July 21st.
July 21st.
That's where you're going to go.
Yes.
And so now we're going to go and look at the projection technology. So Here we go.
Okay.
And we'll go down this hall again.
Yes.
So have I thoroughly confused you?
No, this is so fascinating. I have to say, I didn't know that it took 31 days for it to go into digital. That's like a very extensive process.
You could do it very much quicker if you did it at 1 or 2K, but this is 8K.
Yeah.
In actual fact, we would like to do it even higher resolution because the IMAX frame has 18K of resolution horizontally.
18K of
But there's no machine in the world that can actually capture that amount of data digitally. It just doesn't exist. We could maybe invest some money and get a 12K scanner, but right now we have an 8K scanner, which we're very happy with. But it's investment. You've got to make sure that it pays for it.
Definitely. David, is the ping pong table over there a secret to the IMAX
yes,
process?
all film has to be set on that table or it can't be released. Absolutely.
Great.
So now we're going to go up to the dark projection room.
Okay, we're going to the dark projection room. Get excited.
Get excited. I wonder how many fans we have following us. You've gone to get a coffee.
Yeah.
You remember, it's a secure facility, so we have to...
Very secure.
Now we're going to go into, we have two big theaters here.
Okay.
And we're going to go in this theater. It's
Okay.
kind of dark.
You guys, there's an exclusive screening going on, so this is top secret. It's going to be dark for a few minutes, and don't tell anyone.
Okay. Well, looks like we're probably... Okay, there's nothing on screen, so we're kind of okay. So you can kind of light us. So this is kind of cool. Remember I told you we had the 31 reels of interpositive we had to scan. It took us 31 days. This is the world's only 65 millimeter rolling loop projector that we checked all the IPs to make sure they were good before we digitized them.
Wow.
So that's this projector here. And then next to that, this is our Theater 3. These are two digital projectors, very similar to the projectors that are in all of the Regal theaters that are in film. And IMAX is unique. Even in 2D, we subpixel line. We're 60% brighter, but we use two projectors even in 2D, and that gives us better clarity. We have an image enhancer. That's why IMAX movies look so cool, because we always use two projectors, and that helps things like screen door effect and color saturation, and that's what is in most Regal theaters. Now let's go to the theater where we're
Great.
just in.
And if you guys are just tuning in, we are live at the IMAX Corporation headquarters here with Chief Quality Officer David Keighley. He's giving us an exclusive tour of the IMAX Corporation headquarters, including the projection room that we're in right now.
Okay, fine, Nina. Let's go to the theater we saw earlier.
Awesome, we're heading to a theater.
So we kept the lights on here for you.
Excellent.
And so these are, again, the two xenon projectors that are in the Regal theaters.
These are called xenon projectors?
These are dual xenon projectors.
Dual xenon.
IMAX proprietary process.
Amazing.
And then watch your step here. These are IMAX laser projectors.
Laser projectors, that is so cool.
And then here is IMAX film projectors. And as I said, in Regal, 6 of their theaters have film, and that's Mr. Nolan would love as many fans as possible to see the movie in film, in IMAX.
Yes.
And then here you can see here, this is the IMAX film, and you can probably see the big 15 perf advance. That's one frame there.
Wow.
And the Regal theaters, there's 2 of these projectors, and there's another projector called a GT. Because this is a 2D movie, it only uses one projector. And if you look way down, we're going to go down there now.
Okay.
The film comes up from our storage room, and it goes all the way down there.
Wow.
And all the way up here and down. And we're just getting ready to probably look at some the last reels of the release prints of Bodega Bay.
Wow.
Dunkirk.
I have to say the laser projectors might be the coolest thing that I've seen today. This is crazy.
Well, we have laser projectors in about 50 locations around the world. They're just new.
Amazing. Follow us, guys. So we're gonna see where down those holes lead you. I'm excited.
And of course, because this is a 143 theater, it's very high, so the projectors from that height, so we got to go down 3 flights of stairs.
Of course. We're here with David Keighley, Chief Quality Officer of IMAX, and we're at the IMAX Corporation headquarters here in Los Angeles, California.
And we're going to go by an IMAX platter, one of the largest ones we ever made. And this movie is just over an hour and 3/4, but Mr. Nolan's previous movie, Interstellar, filled this platter here and weighed about 1,000 pounds. Had 47 reels in it, and Dunkirk has 31 IMAX reels.
Amazing.
And it runs horizontally, and I think we've shown you this before, but here's some more release prints. We're just shipping them out. We have about almost 40 locations for the film prints of
Dunkirk. And yeah, Bodega Bay is was the working title of this film, so that's some really cool exclusive knowledge that we're getting, seeing this directly on the reel.
Now, so here, remember we showed you where we were.
Yes.
And just pan up, Britt, and there's where we were. And this is IMAX film, getting ready to look at IMAX. You know, we've always tried to do the very best, be a gold standard. So every motion picture print we make, all the DCP masters are looked at by very qualified people to make sure the brightness, sound, very important.
Are you one of those qualified people?
I think so.
I think so too.
But we have lots of people that we're training to do that, because when you have 1,200 theaters in 75 countries, there's a lot of work to get done.
Definitely. Well, this has been an amazing exclusive tour of the IMAX Corporation headquarters. We're here with David Keighley, Chief Quality Officer of IMAX, the IMAX man himself, as I like to say. Thank you so much for this incredible tour.
Thank you, Nina. And don't forget, July 21st, where you're going to be, at the IMAX Theater. Thanks, everybody.
Dunkirk. Thank you.